So I promised you guys a video about 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, something along those lines, and it's been constantly delayed because relics came out and had to be retested and such like that, and it still works, and it works fantastically. It doesn't make a difference if the old golden god is in the team, it doesn't make a difference if they're fully relicked, the entire squad that is, it doesn't make a difference how fast they are or how well modded they are. All it's going to require on your end is one relic character, but it does require some pretty good mods, I have to be totally honest about that. Not necessarily speed, however, I'm talking tenacity. Speaking of mods, this video is being brought to you by Pimpo, your one-stop SWGOH mod service by the mod father himself. If you're one of the many players who doesn't understand mods or doesn't have the time or interest to sort them out, Pimpo can do it for you. He offers a full inventory cleanup, will level them and sort out your farming goals going forward. He'll also sort out loadouts for whatever game modes you want and gives you a big boost in your Grand Arena and Territory War performances. So you guys have waited long enough, I don't want to say anything else in this intro, let's get on with the video. Let's do this! Right, before the footage starts, these right here are some teams that we've actually beaten with this strategy already. Now there's a couple of leader options, we've got Kira and we got Farmboy Luke, which I'll show after, but first we'll show Kira. I personally think she's the better option when you're going up against the considerably stronger teams. Kira brings a couple of benefits to the teams. You got some protection regeneration, so when Nest has actually taken a turn and loses all of the bonus, she's got that little bit of extra coming from Kira on top of the additional offense that we're going to gain from her lead as well. It doesn't matter what gear Kira is, or Farmboy Luke for that matter, it doesn't really even matter for Hermit Yoda if we use him, because they can all die. We just need the buffs that we're getting from them, and obviously leadership ones you get from them just being in the team in the first place, and when they die they stay regardless. Obviously, if we're going to be using Hermit Yoda, he has to be faster than Anakin. The problem is, these R7 Anakins that are out there can just one-shot Yoda with the opening AoE attack, so he has to be quicker. All we need is one turn. We just need the one single turn, and that's to get Master's Training off, because Master's Training is going to give an extra 25% tenacity, defense, offense, among other stats to Nest, which is going to considerably help her survivability. When it comes to Farmboy Luke, what we're gaining from him in fact is 50% tenacity along with advantage, and again, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter if he dies, just as long as he's there when the battle begins. So you can pull out that Gear 7 Farmboy that we had from unlocking Commander Luke and actually get some use out of him once again. The strategy here is kill Padme. Now, Nest can ignore Taunt, but don't hit auto straight away because the game has a complete habit of just staying completely focused on Kenobi, and we'll just waste minutes and minutes that we really need to build up our damage and take Padme down. So get it targeted on Padme first before you hit auto basic. We only want to use basic because the other attacks just don't deal the same amount of damage. So just get the basic attacks going. You can do it manually if you want, just to be sure, but it's absolutely fine to use auto basic once we've got the setup done. Once we've got Master's Training on, once we've got our target focused on Padme, just hit auto basic and away we go, and that's it. We're right on the way to actually winning the battle. You're very unlikely to lose. I think I lost once or twice. That was in the early days when I was still figuring out the mods. Once I got it sorted, that's it, easy wins. When it comes to mods, we need as much tenacity as humanly possible from our mods. I found 160% is about the sweet spot because we're also going to gain a little bit from the other characters in our team. I know that Raider Hater, the guy that actually put me onto the strategy, has 170 on his, so it does need some pretty hefty mods, some good tenacity secondaries along with 6 tenacity mods, tenacity primary cross and so on, but you shouldn't expect anything less when we're going to use just 3 characters to kill relic teams here. Just 3 characters, and only one of these is even going to be relic ourselves. The higher the relic on Nest, the better. Some of the very top end teams, you are probably going to need an R7 Nest. I mean, that's just how it's going to be, because we're dealing with like 5 R7 characters to begin with. So I think having one is a fair balance, really. I think it's a fair trade-off. But the reason we need so much tenacity is because we have to avoid heal immunity from Anakin, so we need to make sure we're 100% above his potency for guaranteed safety. You can get away with lower, but you're running a risk. Like with any battle, you're just increasing the RNG odds that you're going to need to be able to get away with it. So the higher you are, the safer you are. And that's one of the problems that can actually come into the team, is when some people bring R2-D2 into the squad, he gives extra potency to Anakin. It can make things a whole lot more difficult. But fortunately, if R2's in the team instead of 3PO, then we can just run a Palpatine counter and it's not a problem. The C3PO squad, that's actually been a problem for most people. It's that way because the Palpatine counter doesn't work anymore. That's where we can bring this in, because if 3PO's in the team, it's easier for Nest. Nest counters get shut down, which means we have no time wasting going on with all that additional animation happening on screen. We can get more basics going off, more damage ramping up, get rid of Padme faster, and it's game over. I know some people are going to see the courage counter and panic a bit because that's a whole lot of extra damage. Don't panic. You don't need to panic, because the damage that's happening on top of the courage damage don't happen at the same time. The game calculates them differently. So the actual damage happens, and then the courage damage happens in a second calculation afterwards and seems to clash with the bonus protection from Nest, and as a result we don't actually take any of that courage damage. It seems to just nullify itself. Which is very, very handy. It's been extensively tested, and yeah, it never kills us, so we don't have to worry about it. When it comes to modding your Nest, it's pretty much the same way you mod her for most other teams. In fact, you just want 6 tenacity mods. You want tenacity primary on the cross, you want a health primary on the circle because that's how protection is going to stack, you want offense primary on the arrow, offense primary on the triangle, and you want a nice and slow. It's as simple as that. It's worth noting that these mods are beating, Relic 7 teams, and most of you are probably only going to be using this in Grand Arena anyway, and it's only really the Arena level Padme teams that have these massive, massive gear levels and relic levels on their characters. When it comes to Grand Arena, most times I'm only seeing gear 12 with the occasional gear 13, and gear 13 Nest can actually beat that without the relics. That's what we had happening previous to relics arriving. We were using gear 13 Nest to absolutely crush these gear 12 teams, so it'll be a lot less demanding to get these results if you're coming up against those gear 12 type Padme teams in Grand Arena. I mean, it was relics that actually held the video up in the first place, because we had the video all dialed in with a gear 13 Nest. Then relics arrived, so we had to then develop Nest up to relic level, wait for relic Padme teams to appear, then sit and test it all over again just to make sure that it's still working absolutely fine there, and that this strategy wasn't suddenly, having to go straight into the bin. Because, if I'd released that video, everyone would have said, wow, does this work with relic? Oh, this won't work with my relic Kenobi, this won't work with my relic Anakin. So we had to wait to actually test it, and that's why this video ended up delayed however many weeks it's been. This has to be the very best use for Nest right now, in my opinion. If you have a really well-developed Nest, you've got relics on her already, or you're trying to make that decision, is it really worth adding those relics to Nest? Is it worth that investment? I think this video is the one that's actually going to do it for you, because previously most people used her against, Phoenix Squad, or really like lower level C tier teams at absolute best. And now this comes along, taking out these absolute top-end Padme teams. I mean, Padme is one of those squads that seems to trouble a lot of people. You've used your better teams, taken out their better teams, and you stumble across Padme and you're like, oh, what have I got left here? I've not actually saved a team for Padme. Nest. You can pick Fanboy, you can pick Hoda, you can throw in Nest, and you can just crush this team. I don't see any other team being worth the investment to take out Padme quite as much as this one is, because there's only one character we've got to develop, and to top it off, Nest is a great utility character anyway, so if they don't have Padme, well, go kill something else with her. This is just a great use for a really, really good character. It's also worth noting, actually, in testing, I also beat a maxed out Brood Alpha team with gear 13 bugs in it and stuff as well. That wasn't something I was expecting. It just happened to be there on the climb list, and I was like, well, I've got days, I've got stacking damage, I've got self-heal. Maybe this will work there too with all this tenacity, shutting down those ability blocks and all the other debuffs that come from the bugs, and it did. It actually worked. You ended up with like 200k shots going off, which is just splattering these bugs, like no problem whatsoever. I don't think bugs would be the best use for the team, however, because bugs do have quite a few other counters. You've got Grievous, you've got Traya. As long as RNG doesn't totally screw you, or you don't make a bonehead decision like I regularly do in Grand Arena, those will work fine. You're much better saving this for Padme, which has less counters, especially if 3PO is in the team. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope this lived up to the hype. I mean, I'm pumped to get this out. I've been waiting to get this out for absolutely ages. I know my sponsor Pimpo's been waiting on this video as well. He's only had teasers, and quite a few of my community have been like, where is this video? I struggled against Padme in a recent battle, and I really want to use this, and it's awesome. It's such fun, and it's so consistent, which is the best bit about it. As long as you got the mods, and people that are going to go, oh, I don't have these god mods and stuff. Well, don't expect to beat such a high-end team with such low-end stuff, you know? That's not going to happen. Relics is the new thing in the game, and this doesn't even require crazy god modded speed. It's just tenacity secondaries. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of us have probably binned the kind of mods that Ness would use in this to clear room for more speed. I know I've probably done that, but that's the way it goes, isn't it? Big shout out to all my subscribers, my patrons, my Twitch subs, everybody that's watching the video. Please give it the old thumbs up, and spread the word of this video. This has got to be helping a lot of guilds in territory wars, in Grand Arena and such. And yeah, that's just about it for this one, guys. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, we out of here.